All right. So this is Pillars of Fat Loss, Part 2, Nutrition. My name is Christine Giorgetti. I am the manager of the One Beacon Fitness Center, for those of you who don't know me, and the owner of CMG Health and Fitness. I'm a certified exercise physiologist and certified nutrition coach through Precision Nutrition. So, like I talked about last week, when it comes to fat loss success, there are 5 pillars that you should work on: exercise, nutrition, sleep, stress, and lifestyle. When these pillars are equal, you'll find that you are more successful. If you focus just on a couple of them, 1 or 2, and disregard the others, you might be slower in reaching your goals. So all of these pillars have to be aligned in order for you to have fat loss success. So today we're going to talk about nutrition. So when I was setting this up, I was trying to figure out, what do I want to talk about? Because nutrition is one of those topics that is very hotly debated. There's a lot of information out there, and it changes almost daily. So what we're going to talk about today are 5 principles of good nutrition. These principles are based on science and are pretty much universally accepted as, okay, we all agree on these 5 principles. So I'm going to talk about all of these in more depth. Calories in versus calories out. Protein is king. As food processing increases, nutrient density decreases. Fruits and vegetables are extremely important, and sleep affects what and how you eat. So those are the 5 principles. We're going to dive in a little bit deeper now. So principle number 1, calories in versus calories out. Weight loss, weight gain, and weight maintenance, it all comes down to one equation. Energy in minus energy out equals changes in body stores. So when you take in more energy, which in this case we would be talking about calories, if you take in more energy than you burn, you will gain weight. If you take in less energy than you burn, you will lose weight. And if you take in the same energy as you burn, you will maintain your weight. So if you reduce your calories in and increase your calories out, your body weight will go down, always. This equation, pretty much everyone agrees this is how weight loss and weight gain works. The first law of thermodynamics states that energy can neither be created or destroyed, only transferred from one state to another. So for humans, this means that we can't create energy from nothing. We get it from food, the food that we eat. And any excess energy that you intake, it doesn't just disappear. You either burn it, which is energy out, or you store it, which is weight gain. So there are a lot of things that can influence our energy balance. So factors that influence energy in, appetite. So this is influenced by hormones that regulate your appetite and your satiety. I'm going to get into that a little bit more in a couple slides. The food that you consume. So this is influenced by what food is available, what food you like to eat, maybe your cultural background, the foods that your culture eats, your socioeconomic status, the food that you can afford to eat, etc. So all those things that can affect energy in. Calories absorbed. So this is influenced by your macronutrient intake. So macronutrients are protein, carbs, and fats. How you prepare your food, your age, your personal microbiome, so your personal stomach and your digestive system, your health history, things like that. That all affects how you absorb calories. And then the last one that influences energy in is psychological factors. So this means like anything that's influenced by your stress levels, your mindset, your control, your self-esteem, your sleep quality, things like that. So factors that influence energy out, the energy that you burn at rest, and that is influenced by your body size, your hormones, your diet history, your genetics, your health history, your sleep quality, your age, all those kind of things. That's energy that you burn at rest is influenced by all of those. The energy that you burn through exercise, so that's influenced by your exercise ability, so if you can even exercise at all. The intensity, duration, frequency, and type of exercise that you do. So, you know, running is going to burn energy in a different way than lifting weights is, as well as your hormones. So that's kind of what's influenced by through energy burned through exercise. Next is energy burned by non-exercise activity. So that means anything that you do, so like your health status, your energy status, your stress, your hormones, your occupation, your leisure activity, and also your genetics. So non-exercise activity, what I mean by occupation is someone who's on their feet all day, for example, like a nurse, they're gonna burn more calories just in their regular day-to-day than someone who works in an office and sits at a desk all day. And then lastly, energy burned by metabolizing food. So that's influenced by the food's macronutrient makeup and the level of processing that the food has gone through. So all of these different factors influence the energy that comes in and the energy that goes out. And you can control a lot of these factors, you know, and we'll get into how you can kind of play around with the type of food you absorb, consume, the calories you absorb, like how, we already talked about exercise last week, so how that helps. We'll get into that a little bit more later on. So how to shift your energy balance. To reduce, so this is a presentation about fat loss, so I'm kind of focusing on fat loss rather than gain with this information. So to reduce calories in, consuming fiber-rich vegetables and consuming more protein, both of those will help reduce your appetite. And I am going to talk more about both of those bullet points in a couple slides. Eating slowly to tune into hunger and fullness signals. So your stomach moves a little bit faster than your brain. So, you know, you could be eating, and then 20 minutes later, you're like, oh, I feel so terrible. I ate way too much. That's because you ate too fast. You didn't let your brain catch up to your stomach when it was signaling, okay, I'm full, stop eating now. So slowing down your eating will help to keep your brain up with your stomach, if that makes sense. Using hand portions to guide how much you eat. I have a picture of that on the next slide. And then getting enough sleep to reduce cravings, which I am also going to talk about in a few slides as well. To increase calories out, obviously adding exercise to help burn more calories, adding strength training to help build muscle, which also helps to burn calories, increasing your daily activity. So like I mentioned before, if you're someone who works in an office and you're at a desk all day, make sure that you're getting up every hour, walking around, and not just spending 8 to 10 hours sitting, because that's going to greatly reduce how much energy you burn. Boosting your protein intake to increase the thermic effect of digestion. So we're going to talk about protein next, but basically protein takes more energy to digest than any other food. So increasing your protein intake will help to increase the calories that you're burning. And then practicing self-care to reduce stress and improve your sleep. Stress and sleep, you know, they're both their own individual pillar on the 5 pillars of fat loss. So they are very, very important when it comes to fat loss and body recomposition. So here is the calorie counting with your hands little graphic that I've made. So basically you use your hand instead of using a scale or measuring cups. This is really easy to do, especially if you're like on the go, eating on the go. It makes it pretty simple. So for protein, 1 palm-sized portion for females, 2 palm-sized portions for males. For veggies, you have a fist-sized portion, 1 for females, 2 for males. For carbohydrates, a cupped hand-sized portion, again, 1 for females, 2 for males. And then for fats, a thumb-sized portion, 1 thumb for females, 2 thumbs for males. All right, principle number 2, protein is king. So there are 2 reasons why protein is the more important macronutrient. Number 1, protein helps you eat less without feeling hungry. So research consistently shows that protein helps you feel fuller for longer because it takes the body longer to break down protein than it does carbs or fats. Protein stimulates the release of satiety hormones in the gut, so it's gonna make you feel like you're fuller, and that feeling's gonna last longer than it would if you just ate carbs or fats. One way to sort of test this on your own is like choose 1 day a week where you really increase your protein intake by a lot. And this is just not normal, just a fun experiment that you can do and see how you feel. So like have a lot of protein for breakfast, lunch, dinner, and notice that you're going to be less hungry, especially between meals, and you're ultimately going to eat less. And then the next day, do the same thing with like carbs, just have like carbs all day, like breakfast, lunch, and dinner. And you'll see that you get hungrier, you're wanting to snack between meals, and your feeling full doesn't last very long. So the second reason that protein is king is it makes it easier to build and maintain muscle mass. So when you don't eat enough protein, your body takes it from elsewhere, for example, your muscles, which results in muscle loss. A high protein diet maximizes muscle protein synthesis, which equals more muscle gain and more calories burned. So overall, high protein diets are better for improving body composition. So consuming extra protein won't magically build more muscle. You have to strength train to do that, but it will, like I said, help you feel full. It takes protein longer to digest in the stomach, which equals more calories being burned, etc. For the average person, and everyone is different again, so do not take this as the law, but I always start with aiming for about half your body weight in grams of protein. So if you weigh 100 pounds, you want to go for 50 grams of protein per day. And then just like one fact that I thought was really cool, doubling your protein intake could help you spontaneously consume up to 400 fewer calories per day because of these reasons that we just talked about. So I always tell my clients protein at every meal. So what would that look like? Here are just some examples of protein-rich snacks and meals. Eggs, great source of protein. Cottage cheese, Greek yogurt, that's sort of like the breakfast column. For lunch, turkey, tuna or chicken salad, salad with chicken, all of those options are good options. And then the dinner column, any sort of stir fry, some sort of meat with vegetables or even shrimp or fish. A chicken burrito bowl, roasted chicken with veggies. So as you can see, every single one of these meal options, protein is sort of like the main event of them. And then you can obviously add vegetables and carbs and fats, however you want, fruits, etc. All right, principle number 3. As food processing increases, nutrient density decreases. So what does that mean? So minimally processed whole foods, such as grains, nuts, eggs, fish, fruits, and vegetables, contain a larger selection of vitamins, minerals, plant nutrients, and animal nutrients than processed foods do. When a food is processed, it loses its nutritional value. So it loses its fiber, its essential fatty acids, its vitamins, minerals, plant and animal nutrients, and often gains additives such as preservatives, fillers, sugar, sodium, unhealthy fats, refined starches, all those yucky things. Humans are healthier when they eat more whole foods and less processed foods. And, minimally processed whole foods are typically rich in fiber and protein, which we've already discussed, increase satiety. So they help you feel fuller. They help you feel fuller for longer, like we just talked about with protein. They also tend to have fewer calories per serving, and both of those traits are important for weight control. Diets rich in whole foods can also lead to lower rates of disease, such as heart disease, cancer, depression, and type 2 diabetes. So minimally processed whole foods, that's, if you think about trendy diets and popular diets right now, that's what they all have in common. Paleo, keto, intermittent fasting, Whole30, if it fits your macros, whatever that crazy diet that Tom Brady does. All of those diets focus on minimally processed whole foods, and they also focus on lowering your calories. So you don't need a trendy diet. You just need to focus on eating whole foods and making sure your calories in are less than your calories out. When it comes to supplements, whole foods always win. Once nutrients from fruits and veggies, for example, I know what's very popular right now are the greens powder or the greens capsules. Once nutrients from the fruits and vegetables that they say are in those supplements are isolated and put into a pill or a powder, they lose most of their nutritional power. So always opt for whole foods over a supplement. And it's not about perfection, it's about progress. So when you make a shift to more whole foods, it's important to focus on slow progress rather than a full diet overload, because the best way to set yourself up for failure is to just change everything at once, which is going to be very overwhelming. So instead of thinking of two categories, whole or not whole, imagine that food is on a spectrum where as the food becomes more processed and more refined, it loses more and more of its nutritional power. So if you look at the chart over here, this photo is from the Precision Nutrition website. You can see that it's kind of broken up into all the different categories. So let's take grains, for example. The most unprocessed whole food option for grains would be brown rice. And then white rice is a little bit less processed. And then the most processed with the fewest nutrients is rice puff cereal. So same thing, you can kind of look through the list here. Sweet potato, best option, sweet potato fries. Not the best, not the worst. Sweet potato pie, the most processed. So you kind of see how that works. Allow yourself to slowly make your shift. It's going to be tough, especially if you're someone who, doesn't really eat a lot of whole foods to begin with. Give yourself the time it takes. The goal is not perfection, it's progress. All right, principle number 4. Fruits and veggies are a must. So out of all the other nutrients we just talked about, all the other whole foods we just talked about, fruits and vegetables deserve a spot of their own. They are loaded with healthy vitamins, healthy minerals, a lot of fiber, and phytonutrients, which are plant nutrients. And studies have shown that consuming more produce can help prevent issues such as diabetes, stroke, heart disease, high blood pressure, and cancer. They are especially important for fat loss due to their high fiber and water content. So like I've talked about already, foods that are high in fiber help you to feel fuller for longer, and they take longer to digest, which helps to burn more calories. There's no such thing as a superfood. That's a diet buzzword. That is something that companies use to entice you into buying their product or buying their diet plan, whatever it is. You always want to try to eat a variety of both fruits and vegetables and try to eat a rainbow of colors. There's no, you shouldn't focus on one fruit or one vegetable. Always eat a variety of fruits and vegetables. So what if you hate vegetables? I was this person for a long time. It took me a while to kind of figure out how I liked to eat vegetables. And the best way to do it is just experiment. Try cooking them in new and different ways and add stuff to them to hide or improve the flavor. Spices, lime or lemon juice, vinegars, oils, honey, tahini, chopped nuts, mustards, maple syrup. It only takes a little bit of something to help improve the flavor of a vegetable. And you can also experiment with different methods of cooking. So steam, saute, braise, roast, put them in your smoothies, eat them raw, experiment with it. Some things that I like to do, Brussels sprouts with olive oil, salt, pepper, garlic powder, and paprika. That's really good. I make mashed sweet potatoes with just a tablespoon of pure maple syrup and cinnamon. So it really, you can experiment a lot. And even if you think you hate a vegetable, because I thought I hated Brussels sprouts, I just wasn't eating them the right way. And now that I found a way that I can enjoy eating them, I eat them at least once a week now. So there's always ways to improve the taste of something without killing its nutritional value. All right, principle number 5, and I'm just going to talk about this briefly because my presentation next week is going to be all about sleep. But in terms of nutrition and how sleep relates to nutrition, it affects what and how you eat. So if you only sleep for 4 or 5 hours a day when you really need 7 or 8, you keep your body in a chronically sleep-deprived state. And when you don't get enough sleep, your body cannot regulate several important hormones. So the first one, ghrelin, stimulates your appetite. So when you don't get enough sleep, your ghrelin levels rise, which triggers hunger. Leptin regulates your appetite. So when you are overtired, not getting enough sleep, leptin levels fall. So it takes longer for you to feel full. And then endocannabinoids, that is a cell signaling system, so that those increase, which makes your perception of food seem more pleasurable. So this results in feeling hungrier, craving sweets as a result of the increase in endocannabinoids, less overall movement because you're so tired, and a negative effect on not only weight loss, but your overall health, which is what we're going to talk about next week. So I have some questions for you to think about right now. Think about these questions and kind of jot them down, answer them yourself. Number 1, what is your body composition goal? Does your current energy balance reflect that goal? So if you're listening to this, I'm assuming that fat loss is your goal. So your energy balance should be less calories in, more calories out. Number 2, am I getting enough protein daily? How and where can I add more if I need to? So kind of what I would suggest for this question is doing like a week of food tracking, and don't change anything. Track your normal food, just eat normally, don't subconsciously try to eat healthier because you're tracking. Track your food and then just look at what you're getting in for protein day to day. And then kind of figure out from there where you can add more, where you need to add more, and how you can do that. In my experience, it's breakfast that people are usually lacking in protein, because it's very easy to just grab a bagel, have some cereal, but it's tough to get protein at breakfast, which is usually what happens with clients. Number 3, am I eating too much processed food? How can I slowly start to transition to more whole foods? So like I said, this is not about perfection, it's about progress. So, you know, think of that chart that I showed you before. How can you take your think of the most processed food that you eat on a regular basis. How can you take that item of food and move it over towards the whole food category and eventually get it to be a non-processed whole food? Number 4, challenge yourself to try one new vegetable per week. Which one will you choose for next week? It's up to you. Think about a vegetable maybe that you don't like or that you think you don't like, and try cooking it, preparing it in a new way, and maybe your mind will change about that vegetable. And number 5, am I getting enough sleep? Think about this question and save your answer for next week, because next week's presentation is all about sleep. All right, any questions before we finish up here? No? All right, so next week, like I've mentioned, same time, same place for Pillars of Fat Loss Part 3, sleep, which is one of the most important parts of fat loss and one of the least talked about and least worked on areas. So make sure you come back for that. And I will see you all later. Have a great night. If you think of any questions, feel free to email me or shoot me a DM on Instagram. Bye.